Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kidsstoppress.com. Really excited because we have the authors of The Flaky Mummy, a quirky guide to surviving motherhood by Madhuri Banerjee and Rohini Tiwari. And if you haven't read this book already, let me tell you that it's really, really funny. It's actually a Bible that every mother should really read because, like they rightly put, it's about surviving motherhood. Guys, tell us a little bit about yourselves and how did you guys come up with the idea of the book?
So I am Rohini Tiwari, and I live in London, but I was in India for 2 years between 2000, and I met Madhuri because her daughter and my daughter are best friends. Anyway, we were just sitting around and talking about motherhood in general, that you do over a cup of coffee after dropping your child, and basically just crying about our woes and how difficult things were. And just somehow the conversation came to the parenting books that most people write. So the whole thing just came as a joke, like, somebody should write a real book about parenting and how it is. So, and that was it. And then Madhuri said, let's do it. The idea, and it worked. The whole journey began.
You.
Yeah, so the fact is that I've written, this is my 8th book.
Yes.
And I've written a lot about women in emancipation and about, sexual freedom. And, even my clingy girlfriend was about a man and his relationships. So I've actually been discussing relationships through my books and my columns and my blog and my tweets. But I never actually discussed motherhood in such great detail. And motherhood is the primal, basic, and best relationship that you will ever have, a woman can ever have, truthfully. So when Rohini came up with an idea that let's do a book on motherhood, I said yes, that's the next level of my writing that I want to take. But not just about a man-woman relationship or mother-daughter relationship or husband-wife relationship, but about a mother and her relationship with her child and vis-a-vis then her husband and her entire family. So we came up with an idea. We said, I have written also the Yummy Mummy Guide with Karishma Kapoor. And it was all about, the correct things about motherhood. The fitness, the diet of Karishma's, her Lolo's fashion sense and everything. So here was another supermodel mom who said, I want to, do something which is completely weird and breaks the lid of motherhood. It should not be anything which has been in the market before.
Right.
Let's break boundaries with motherhood that we've not been able to do. Let's not talk about how the diet plan will make you lose weight. Let us talk about the truth about motherhood. Recently, a few days ago, Adele, the singer, wrote about her postpartum depression, and she tweeted about it as well. She said that the tweet was that how she hates motherhood at some level, and the fact was that it was identifiable to a lot of women.
Right.
So that's so the book that we have written, The Flaky Mummy, is not about how you're going to lose weight or whether you should wear black to look thinner when you go out. But what Rohini has done in writing this book is telling you the truth about motherhood in the most funny, hilarious, satire way that every mother will understand. And it is a personal journey. Motherhood is a personal journey of every woman who chooses to give birth or to have a child, adopted or otherwise. And this is what the film is about. And I think Rohini has done a fantastic job in writing it. I just kind of helped her, curated it and edited it and structured it for her. But the satire that has come out is pure Rohini.
Great. I'm just going to share with you guys. Madhuri, can you please mute yourself because your voice is echoing? I'm just gonna ask both you guys, the whole thing of having mom friends, right? That's like a term I learned only once. Obviously, I had my kids, and I think, having mom friends is literally like a survival guide by itself, right? Because you have kids that are like weeks apart or months apart, and you realize, damn, somebody's gone through it, and and that's the principle that we've built Kidsstoppress on, that we understand that nobody trusts any amount of marketing or anything else that works but another mother who's gone through a similar journey, right? So were you guys only the two of y'all in the journey, or were the other 6 moms that you all described, the other 6 type of moms that are described were also part of the journey?
They're all fiction characters. They're not really, because I read a lot. I read all kind of different things, newspaper articles and books. So there's a lot of people, you hear about these stories of how the whole motherhood industry has become into the right kind of motherhood.
Absolutely.
Forget about motherhood. It's the right kind of parenthood. And it was just a satire on that. You can have, what I say is, for our parents, what was instinct, for us, it's a fad. To identify with a fad and say, oh my God, I'm doing attachment parenting. I'm never going to put that kid down ever.
Right.
You're like, and then anybody who's saying, oh no, I let my kid cry in the night so that, he learns or she learns to sleep at a certain time. It's really looked down upon. But the person who's carrying the baby all the time, you look down upon them. So there is no motherhood. It's baby Olympics. At the end of it, that's what it is.
I love
everything.
Absolutely, that's so cool.
No, it is. It is baby who wants to win.
That's it.
And at the end of it, where you can help each other and say, my child doesn't sleep either.
Right.
Whereas I'm sleeping 12 hours a day, it doesn't help anybody to undermine. And that's what the book is about. It just tells the mothers, you know what? Have a drink. You're not failing. You're doing the best you can do under the circumstances that you have. Chill.
Yeah.
Idea. But so inspiration. So yeah, some of it is autobiographical. Some of it I've done myself. Some I've seen friends. But there's not anybody particular that I can say, oh, this woman is what, say, the cherry pop is, or this one is the old, is the older woman getting pregnant and having a baby. So it's just
right.
It's just a experience of what I've read, what you see in media, trying to bring it alive.
Great. I mean, do you think Indian moms are, like Madhuri said, we're blowing off the lid on parenthood and motherhood. Do you think Indian moms are really ready to embrace this? Like when you called it the flaky mom, was there ever a iota of doubt that, are people going to be okay with it? Or because everybody's very closeted about their style of parenting, or they want to be perfect parents. So was there even like a small doubt or fear?
No. No, I think we were both very, very sure, because I think at the end of it, both of us are so similar in just saying, shit, this is not working. But so no, I didn't have a doubt at all. I thought it would work, like especially about really small town. But I think in the metropolitan, I think they're much more open. They're like any other Western society, any other mothers from any other. What do you say, Madhuri?
When the concept came about, we said that, oh my God, we know a Gujarati mother who is like this. We know a Bengali mother who is completely like XYZ, and we can't say these names because these are our friends at some. So, and then we said, I really felt like that old mother because I had my child at 33. So I was, and then there was another friend of ours who had her child at the same time and she was 41 or something like that, and so I think all of us, so while these 6 characters who are in the book are fictionalized, we know them. And at some level, we are them as well. So, this friend of mine came over yesterday and it was a man, and the man is reading this book and he said that, oh my God, I know who you are in this book. I said, really? Because when I was writing and editing this book, I didn't feel that I was a particular character. I thought I was like a grasshopper and a champagne pop put together. So, and the fantastic thing about this book is the surprise element that is there at the end of the chapter. So
I agree. That's what I was coming to next. That I absolutely love each of those cocktail recipes, and I'm wondering where did that come from, and those tips that you gave at the end, right? Those were like my absolute favorite. So, and I actually bookmarked a page which I want to read, which I thought was, like when Rohini spoke about attachment parenting, and they've written, and I'm going to read. I have added the side effects of attachment. She left behind a list of 6 pillars of attachment parenting. I have added the side effects to give a more realistic picture. Child sleeps in the same bed as parents. And the side effects, parents will never have an unbroken 8 hours of sleep again. Cloth diapers for a child. Side effects, parents, especially mother, will never have a dry moment again. Tie the child to a parent with a sling at all times. Side effects, parents can say goodbye to adult intellectual conversation and the right to use the toilet alone. Breastfeed the child forever. Side effect, a mother can forget that she once had a cleavage she was proud of. No pranks. Since the child is strapped to you at all times, there is no need for a stroller. Side effect, your back goes for a toss and you soon look like a hunchback of Notre Dame. Chew and feed. Side effects, you forget to swallow your own food. Guys, how can one be so funny? Like, how did you, Rohini, what inspired you to write this? Like, seriously.
That's how I talk. If you know me in real life, it's basically how I talk. So I'm a very exaggerated, look at the bright side, not really look at the bright side, but how to make it funny kind of a person. So for me, it wasn't very difficult because it was literally, that's what Madhuri would say, she would be like, just write what you speak and how you speak. And anytime we would go out and I would say something, she was like, make a note, put it in the book. This needs to go in the book. And I was like, okay.
Okay, so guys, I should probably warn all the moms in London that if you are sitting in a coffee shop and you see Rohini's like watching you intently, just like hide or run away because she's probably making notes.
Probably.
and for her next book. So people in London, beware.
Yeah, Rohini is working on the Flaky Mummy part 2, and so all her friends should kind of be a little bit
Kristen from Rohini Tiwari
writes things down in her head, and she's like, she might be recording you on her phone, so you never know.
Suddenly, thanks to this interview, I probably have no friends left.
Okay, coming back to the book, you guys mentioned a lot about the mother-in-law and the food wisdom and the Indian ritual wisdom that comes by along with the book. And obviously the Indian Sasumas also, you in one of the tips mentioned her as like, invite her to your room and forget about your sex life. How did you come up with something like that? And did you follow any of it at all in terms of keeping the mother-in-law at bay?
I think it's not just the Indian mother-in-law, it's mother-in-laws that are a universal fact.
Okay.
They are a universal fact, and it's true for everybody anywhere else in the world. It's not just India. And believe me, I have friends from all over the world, and we can sit down when we talk about this, our first topic, and then we kind of go, what holiday, what clothes, where to go, what to eat. But in the evening, we will always talk about the mother-in-law. So she's a very, very big part of your life, and being and especially once you have a kid, that they want to be a part in it, of the whole growing up process, and be a part of it, or rather you'd want them to be, but at a distance, and that friction is always there. Instead of it becoming really, and I just think it's the best way to deal with it is to look at the funny side of it, joke of it, and say, okay, she's saying eat this, and you kind of think like, it was enough. It wasn't my mother-in-law so much as my mother, who was like, eat the ghee, so you'll have an easy labor. And I said, seriously. And my mom's a teacher, not uneducated, small town. He said, so this is her way of telling me, oh, you must eat ghee, so you will have a really quick labor. And I said, does that even make any sense to you? Canal versus digestive system. Where are we meeting?
Madhuri,
so that's
advice too, that eat ghee and you'll have a smooth delivery.
I didn't have so much ghee and stuff, but yes, I know my mother-in-law's favorite dil ka laddu or something. The things that we were told. I think the fantastic thing about depicting mother-in-law in this book, while Rohini's in London and I'm in Bombay, and we've written this book about 6 different women from across India, I think it resonates with everybody, even in small town India, because it's not as if small town India is, everybody's a mother at some level, so if you're kind of worried about how to raise your child, you go to your mom and you go to your mother-in-law. The advice starts from the moment that you say that you're pregnant or you're planning to have a child. They will tell you about so many.
I would say it starts from the moment you get married.
I agree with Rohini. If you were married 2 years, then I think the advice just starts from there, right? So it starts.
तो बच्चा होना ही चाहिए, तो अगर जब बच्चा होएगा तो फिर माँ की बात सुनो। और मेरा ये कहना है कि उस वक्त तुमने वो तिल की लड्डू नहीं खाई ना रोहिणी, तो फिर देखो क्या फायदा क्या हुआ, अभी थोड़ी खा सकती हो, हाँ अभी तो हम डाइट पे होते हैं. So when I'm saying that the mother-in-law is right, okay, all the women out there who think that they should not listen to their mother-in-law, I say to have a happy marriage and have a happy pregnancy, do the things that your mother-in-law says. Eat that ghee. Okay,
that's the mantra that my husband follows for a happy marriage. He says the wife is always right. So now you've upped the notch by saying that the mother-in-law is always right.
See, later on, after your child is born, if you are actually giving birth to your child and not say adopting a child, say about 3 months, 6 months, or up to about a year after you kind of stopped feeding the child or at whatever level, then you have the rest of your life to lose that weight, and you will lose that weight if you have that determination and concentration to do so. So I'm saying, if the mother-in-law is saying कि वो तिल की लड्डू खाओ तो खाओ, उनको बोलो कि ये तिल की लड्डू नहीं, मुझे और बर्फी दो, और मुझे ना और घी के सामान दो. So eat and be happy during your pregnancy. This is what my thing is.
Exactly. I also want to get back to this whole conversation that Rohini you had about the nanny, right? The new definition of nanny that you very beautifully described in the book, that the nanny is no longer the caretaker. Do you want to talk more about that? Because really increasingly, especially in Asian economies, you see the rise of the second mom, right? Like you rightly called it.
Yeah. I think nannies in today's life, where both the parents are working, are one of the most important family members. I don't even call them employees. I think they're family members, and they're really, really important because they're doing the most important job of bringing your child up while you work. And I totally support that women should work because they work equally hard as a man, and having a child should not stop you from doing what you are passionate about. So nannies are really important. But in our book, again, it's because it's a satire, the nannies are of another level.
Right.
You're not, that's what everybody looks for, right? You're daima, but you don't have those there. You have the women who will charge you for the headache money, which incidentally is a true incident that actually happened to a friend of mine. And I just thought it was just somebody could be so blatant and come out and ask for that money. That's why we put it. But again, because it's a satire and because it's meant to add elements to the story, I've just made it into all that can go wrong. Pious woman whose poor thing has had a heart attack hanging around, or she's a woman who's just there to get the headache money. Or there is the other one who comes and teaches you attachment parenting. So yeah, so they're all caricatures.
Perfect.
And one thing is, whether it's the mother-in-law, whether it's the nanny, whether it's the mother, whether it is even the husband, they are exaggerated, they are caricatures, and hence it is a satire on motherhood. It is a cocktail guide to surviving motherhood, because at the end of the day, we all need a cocktail to survive. We need the mother-in-law to tell us what to do. We want the nanny there to help us with our life, and we do want our husbands or partners who are there to support us. So these elements are there, but the way Rohini has written these elements and twisted it completely is what makes this book completely special and very different from every motherhood book that you will ever read.
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, it was. I've laughed every page, so I can totally relate to what Madhuri was saying. I wanted to also ask you guys. This is my next question. That Rohini, how old are your kids, and is there ever a fear that in being a parent who's very hands off and who wants to just let her kids be, is there ever a fear that what if I made a mistake? Or what if I was wrong?
Mistake with what?
About decisions.
About decisions that you take for your child.
Yeah, I second guess.
Everybody's growing up, right? I mean, I think we've put money aside for their therapy for later. I mean, because if we haven't damaged our children, really, we should be. It's a cycle. Our parents have damaged us. We will retaliate to our parents. We will raise damaged children, damaged goods. They will hurt us in return. It's a cycle. Don't worry about it. All our choices are wrong.
Very true.
Do we work? Do we not work? Do we keep a nanny? Do we not keep a nanny? Do we give them chips to eat? Because
yeah.
Every choice that we make is a wrong choice in any case. So I think whatever choice is at that moment that you're happy with, just go with it, and you're a perfect mother. So
yeah, that's
at the end of the day, you want them to be quiet and read a book. Whatever gets you there, hook or crook, by treats or by treats or by a dhamki, whatever takes them there is what you want to do. So yeah.
Yeah, we keep saying that on Kidsstoppress, that there's no right or wrong parent. You're just the best parent your child can have, because I don't think there is any other way to parent.
Your child, one parent, so it doesn't know. They only have your husband or you, and they don't know any better. So there is no right or wrong. They will only realize it once they've grown up and they have all these issues. And that's a long time.
That's a long time, yes. What's the secret of the cocktail recipes? I know Madhuri spoke about it. Why the cocktail, the mix of so many people playing pivotal roles in parenting. But where do you get these cocktail recipes from? Because they are really the highlight of after every chapter. So how did that come?
Who would think to bring motherhood and alcohol together? It's
only
not
us.
No, only us. Because truly, when we're like, oh my God, my child is getting on my nerves, I need a drink. And that's where the idea came. And we said, okay, fine, what are the cocktails that we love? And we like, how will we make them? Obviously, when you've had one, then you go to the rest. That's how. So Rohini came up with the ideas. And we were writing regular cocktail recipes. And then I said, no. It's not a regular book. We have to write a quirky cocktail recipe. So Rohini, being Rohini, I think she put a magic into it. So you have to read the cocktail recipe as separate. And
I hope you all have not had endless
It was
cocktail recipes.
I can hear you. Sorry.
I said I hope you guys have not had endless tasting sessions of those cocktail recipes.
No. That's what I'm thinking. I need to get to a bar and then just have one of each. One of these days, and my husband's not been really cooperative about it.
But I wrote the book after having all these cocktails, Sometimes.
Yes, so we're not telling about that. Kind of gets you in an alcoholic range of where you need to be a little bit careful what you say, Madhuri.
Okay, guys, any last parting thoughts? Anything that you'd like to share about the book, or tell all the readers about it, or anything about parenthood, about fatherhood? Even that's okay, because I think parenting is not a mom's job alone today. So any thoughts on that?
Get the book, read it, enjoy it, have a drink. Even if you're it is not just for women. It's just because it says the Flaky Mummy. It's not just for women. It's for everybody reading it. And he can, at times, he picks up that chapter, that woman in the chapter. I know somebody's mother exactly like that. And he's really enjoying it. So I just want to say it is a book for everybody. The whole idea about the book was that you can read before you go to bed and you sleep smiling. Carry on reading. There's no suspense that you have to carry one chapter or to the other. So they're more or less like short stories. So have a drink, read the book, enjoy it, have a drink, and don't feel like you have to be the best parent. You're doing an amazing job, and don't second guess yourself. You look at all of us.
Awesome, Madhuri.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing about the Flaky Mummy. The Flaky Mummy is a book about motherhood which you've not read anywhere else. It's a fun take on motherhood. It's about two mothers who have written the book, who completely believe and understand whatever you're going to wear on your side. So we know that you need a few laughs. We know and understand your pain, your pathos, and the thoughts that are going on in your head. And we know that at the end of the day, you really create that cocktail. And trust me, after you reading that book, whether you have that cocktail or not, you will be happy that you read the book. And it's a satire, not just for women, it's for men as well. And I think fathers should also read this book simply to understand what their wives are going through and how they can be more supportive. I think mother-in-laws should read this book because then they'll be able to figure out how they can not be so interfering and give correct advice.
I think, Madhuri, we should give this book. Every pregnant woman should probably gift a copy to their mother-in-law as soon as they get to know their conceive.
I think it should be mandatory
for
hospitals to keep this book. Because as soon as you go into every gynac should have this book. Saying that, pregnancy is not all about the act of motherhood and the beauty of motherhood and how beautiful your skin will glow and all that stuff. It's about other things. And what those other things are? It's in the Flaky Mummy.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, guys.
Yes.
For joining us. And we look forward to having more conversations with you. And for everybody who's tuned in late, we were chatting with Madhuri and Rohini from the Flaky Mummy. And if you haven't read or haven't read a copy yet, then you must do that right now. Guys, get your copies out.
Thank you for having me.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.